Hello, and welcome to the Purpose Zone with me, Marilyn Joyce. And the Purpose Zone is where I help trauma survivors learn how to not only survive, but give them strategies to rebuild their lives. We're going to be talking today about, again, in the series of rebuilding your life $1 at a time. But today I'm going to be talking about ways that you can rebuild your life without actually spending any money. Okay? When we survive and escape these traumatic experiences, everybody comes out differently. Everybody comes out with a different set of resources. I, for one, came out of my worst experience in life living in my car. I did have some things that I had accumulated, had a little bit of money in the bank, maybe about $300, maybe $350, and I began to buy things and keep them in the trunk of my car at sales. We didn't have Dollar Trees back then, but had different bargain stores and things like that, garage sales, things like that. But down through the years, as I have dealt with other things, whether it's been illness or whatever, and found myself having to maintain what I've got, I have found that we are constantly always rebuilding our lives in one way or another. One of the first things I'm going to talk about is that doesn't cost you any money at all, is that you need to learn how to take care of what you've got. If you've been out for a while of your traumatic situation and still in the process of rebuilding, there are things that you already own. Let's take a car, for example. I drive my car until it has to be buried. I'm not one of those people that creates a new bank account, a new car payment for myself every time I turn around. You need to take care of what you already own. Your vehicle is just one example. Take care of it, do the oil changes on a timely basis. Pay somebody if you have to help you with the things that you can't afford at a regular shop. For example, I always had neighbors, since I grew up around military towns, I always had neighbors that were mechanics. And I had neighbors that would, if I would buy the oil and buy them a 6-pack of beer, they would change my oil for me and even do a whole tune-up. There are different bargaining situations that you can do. Don't just grab anybody. These were good friends and neighbors, family members that I would use to do those type of things. And still today, there's minor things that I get done on my vehicles and make sure that my car is maintained. Take care of what you have. You work hard for what you have, and if you don't take care of it, it's not going to last any length of time. I remember having a friend that came to visit me one time. And while I'm cooking, I like to play music, and I had a little radio and CD player that I kept on just on the countertop in the corner of my kitchen. And I remember one time this friend came to visit, and as I was coming down the steps in my house, which came down right in front of the kitchen, I saw that my radio CD player just fly across the air and land on the floor. Came around the corner, and they were, oh, I don't know how that happened. I must have bumped into it. There was no way they bumped into it. Where this thing was anchored in a corner, the only way it could be moved is that someone had to push it off. And I realized this was someone, even though they were close family friend, that I could never have in my house again. I told them they had to leave and have never allowed them to come back, not even to spend the afternoon, because I've worked hard for what I have. I take care of what I have. That little radio CD player had lasted me for a number of years and would probably still be a good benefit to me today if someone had not deliberately destroyed it. When you find yourself sometimes in toxic relationships, you will find just how much that person values what you've worked hard for by the way that they take care of your things. You can have neighbors and friends that you've given too much liberty in your house. They come over, ask to use your bathroom, and you go in there and you find that there's several rolls of toilet paper missing. I do not mind if people ask me for things, but when people show me that they're the type of person that's going to come over and take stuff, those are people you need to keep out of your life. So take care of, number one, take good care of what you already have, because these things can last you for years. You cannot rebuild your life if you're constantly having to go back and repurchase and retool and refix things that would be in good working condition if you'd taken care of them already. then you need to take care of getting rid of eliminations and relationships with people, places, and things that do not respect what you have worked hard for. Just get these people out of your life, or at the very least, keep them at a safe distance away from you. There's no reason for you to keep someone in your life that you know it doesn't mean you any good. They're either jealous of what you have, or I don't know, they just maybe are just very thoughtless and insensitive people. They can be friends, they can be family members, it doesn't matter. You have to make up your mind how valuable you are to yourself and what you are willing to invest in taking care of for you. If you find yourself in an impossible situation where it's someone that you're living with, that maybe you're renting a room from, and I've had friends that and family members who have been in this situation before and found that they could not control everything in their environment. Do what you have to do to protect your stuff. Keep some of your stuff in the trunk of your car, for example, or whatever, until you can find yourself in your own place, in your own environment, where there's not a possibility of other people invading your space. I've had situations where I was suspicious that when certain family members came around, that certain things disappeared from my bedroom. And so I just put a lock on my door. And eventually, my suspicions got borne out to be either true or not true, and I was able to deal with that individual accordingly. Other things that you can do that's not going to cost you a thing to rebuild your life, in our $1 at a time series, cut the cable. I was surprised at how many people that I know personally that have just told me, I don't have cable TV. We turned it off so that we could save money. You can turn off cable. You get some options that are not going to cost you as much. Cable companies go out of their way to find ways to keep your bill above $150. You have to find ways to keep that money in your pocket. You can buy Roku sticks. You can, if you need things where you want to make sure you get the local channels, there's things like Sling TV. So what you will end up doing is paying for a Wi-Fi connection, because you've got to run these options through Wi-Fi. But you need to either get rid of cable or knock your cable bill down so low that it doesn't impact you as much financially. You want to keep that bill under $100 as much as you can. Pay for the Wi-Fi, get your television sources from other sources that are much more economical. There's Pluto TV, where you can watch almost everything free. The disadvantage of Pluto is that you don't always have local channels, and if you want to keep up with local news, then there's Sling TV. There's lots of other options out there that I'm thinking of, like 6 or 7 of them right off the top of my head. The ones that I use most often are the ones that I'm mentioning here in the video. Get a job, any job. If you're not working, you need to work. A lot of times what is out there is not something that's great and wonderful. It's not paying a lot of money, but you need to start somewhere. One thing that I discovered working in conjunction with the Labor Department, especially back when we were doing some of the welfare to work workshops and stuff that I got to do along with local labor departments, is that people are not as quick to hire you if you don't already have a job. So you can be working fast food, go on a job interview, and they want to know when you can start. When can you start? If you're not working anywhere, you can go on a job interview. It may be 2 or 3 months, if at all, that you hear from them. I don't know why that dynamic is out there, but that dynamic is out there. If you're one of those people that's trying to rebuild your life after you've made a lot more in the past than what you're making now, and I think that's the case with most of us, rebuilding since the big economic crash in 2007, 2008, many people are back to work, but they're making half of what they used to make. And that happened to me during that time frame, just way less money than what I was used to making. Then what you have to do in those cases is just keep building. You know, keep looking for something that's going to offer you more. Work something. And while you're working, keep looking for more. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, don't give up your job. Don't give up your current job in order to start a business. Start the business and work your way out of that other job. Eventually, you're going to get to a point where you're going to have to make a step of faith and decide if this is the time to leave your current situation, to step full out working for yourself. That time will come, that time of decision making will come, but you want to make a responsible transition. Don't burden family members and friends with taking care of you while you're doing something else. As much as within your power, do what you can do to continue to take care of yourself and transition into something new and different for yourself. That doesn't cost any money. That doesn't cost any money for you to be thoughtful and considerate and strategic about how you move into the next phase of your life. Get on food stamps. Swallow your pride. I have met people who every week you would hear from them, I don't have enough food to feed my children. Can you loan me some money? I promise one day I'm going to pay you back. And I've had people in my life like that down through the years, off and on. And I eventually got bold enough to ask them, why aren't you qualify for food stamps? Why aren't you applying for food stamps? And it would be just really crazy, some of the answers that I got from some of these folks. Some of these friends, some of these people, we're still friends today, and and now we laugh about the choices that they were making at those times in their life. Don't sacrifice your children because you've got too much pride to go on food stamps. A great deal of our military serving our country, putting their life on the line every day, are on food stamps. Ever since I was a kid, as long as I can remember, most of the young troops in my dad's unit and most of the young troops in my unit when I was in the military, if they had a family, many of them were on food stamps. If people can sacrifice their lives, be willing to die for this country, and don't have too much pride to be working and also have to have food stamps to supplement their life, who in the heck are you? Do what you have to do to take care of yourself. It's only going to cost you some pride to fill out the paperwork and go get the food stamps if you need it. Go to food banks if necessary. Do what you have to do to supplement until you can get to a position where you don't need those things. But for crying out loud, value yourself and value your family enough to make sure that you're taking care of them and taking care of yourself. Do what you have to do. It's better than begging other people every payday because you got to feed your kids or you got to feed yourself. It is what it is. Evaluate every time you get ready to make a purchase. Is this purchase necessary? Can I do without this? Can I do without this a little longer? We can do this type of a decision-making process, no matter where we are in our life and in our finances, whether we're rebuilding or not. I had a philosophy when I was a much younger woman, and that I've had to reinstitute as the years have gone by. Whenever I was going to make a purchase that cost more than $100, I made an agreement with myself that I would think about that potential purchase for at least 24 hours before I spent $100 or more. That gave me time to really decide, how bad do I need this, or is this a whim? So therefore, when I get emails and offers and things that say sale going on today only, I just delete those emails right away, even if it's my favorite store, because I am not going to make a last minute decision, and you're not going to make me, no one's going to manipulate me to be put in that position. I am in control of my decision making, and I am in control of disciplining myself to make the right decisions that's going to benefit me. Do your own hair. Now, for me as a Black woman, doing my hair is not an overnight easy thing. Takes planning, strategy, time, investment. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, black hair, and the things that we have to do to keep oils in it, and all that. I had to learn that it saved me some money not to go to the beauty shop. And for those of you who understand where I'm coming from, then I don't have to go into any more details than that. Sometimes it is a lifesaver and a financial savings to do it yourself. Learn some styles and whatnot that you can do yourself, and then therefore you can kind of limit and pace out how many trips you have to make to a beauty shop. There's all kinds of YouTube videos and everything now that will enable us, even us black and brown women who have many more steps to have to take to maintain our hair. There's lots of information out there online now that you can learn how to do these things for less cost than what it would normally be. If you're the type of person that maybe you're going through cancer treatments or whatever, or you've had alopecia and other hair loss things, and you are maybe having to use a little bit more hair supplies than you did at another point in your life, there's all sorts of ways that you can protect and preserve the hair that you have to buy, your weaves and whatnot, that will save you money, time, money, and energy on the road to rebuilding your life less than $1 at a time. These are just a few of the things that I've come to mind today that I wanted to share with you in vein of the rebuilding your life one day at a time, $1 at a time strategies. I've got other things that we'll be sharing in the future, but I don't want this video to be too long, especially since I've been out sick for a while. I just thank you for your support. Please subscribe and continue to stay in touch. I have been getting emails from some of my friends, and I'm going to change my email address. You'll see it down below where I can respond to your emails. Please make comments, post below, subscribe, and stay in touch. In the meantime, go out and respond to the cry of your purpose. Survive, get a life, and do your destiny.